Welcome back to another episode of the Lehigh Valley Prospects Field Hockey Podcast presented by Smith Sports Media. I'm your host, LJ Smith, and on this Coach's Corner episode, I have the pleasure of being joined by Grace Hardy, the head coach at Elizabethtown College. Grace, thank you for spending some time with me on this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to join you for today.
I'm excited to learn about your story and have you share what your journey was to now becoming the head coach at Elizabethtown. So let's dive right into it. When was the first time you were introduced to the sport of field hockey?
Okay, sure. So I started playing field hockey maybe a little later than most college coaches, I guess, but in seventh grade is when I started playing. My mom actually forced me to go to like a seventh grade middle school field hockey clinic. I had just moved schools and she was like, you got to meet people and make friends. Like, this would be such a good way to do it. I did like cry in the car, like the first day. Like, I would not get out of the car. She had to force me to get out of the car. And then I did end up having a great time. And I kind of fell in love with the sport and the people. I went to Biglerville High School. So then I played 4 years of field hockey at Biglerville High School. And then I played 5 years of field hockey at Elizabethtown College with COVID. I looked at all different sorts of colleges, kind of ranging divisions and I guess program styles. When I was going through kind of that recruiting process, I was playing club for PA Accelerated, which used to be called Central Penn Elite. So when I played for it, it was Central Penn Elite and it was run by Carly Zinn and Caitlin Dahlmeyer, who are still pretty like big names in the field hockey coaching world. And now that club is now PA Accelerated. And so that's kind of, I guess, where like my alma mater club would be. But I ended up at E-Town. I fell in love with really the academics there. And then the field hockey program was a very close second that kind of hooked me in. I did an overnight visit and I guess the rest is history because I'm still at Elizabethtown College now and I never really left. So as soon as I graduated with my master's, I joined the coaching staff as an assistant and the very next year I became the head coach. So really quick transition there for me.
And you mentioned Caitlin Dahlmeyer. I had the pleasure of working with her my short stint at Lehigh,
Yeah.
winning the Patriot League championship, and now her just being announced as Kutztown assistant coach
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
So the connections of field hockey it's such a close-knit community.
Yes, field hockey is so interconnected, and I'm like very happy for Kutztown. That's a great hire. Getting Caitlin on their staff as a goalie coach is amazing. And I know a lot of the girls that played at Kutztown that were my year, like Rachel Dustman, Liv Lasone. Like I played club with all of them, so it's really cool kind of seeing now all of the girls that I played club with either being on coaching staffs or still being involved with like clubs and things like that. I coach for a club team now too, so I see them a lot when I go to tournaments and things like that.
So you mentioned seventh grade, you getting kind of introduced and,
Yeah.
lack of a better term, forced into field hockey.
Yes.
Were there any other sports that you played that maybe piqued your interest, or was field hockey kind of like your go-to from that moment on?
I would say from that moment, field hockey was definitely like my thing. I come from a big swimming family. My sister was a really good swimmer. She swam at the Coast Guard Academy, just graduated. Everyone in my family is a very talented swimmer, but I never really kind of fell into that competitive swimming route myself. I kind of wanted something that would be my own and I wouldn't have to share it with my sister. So field hockey was sort of that for me, but I did run track and like at Biglerville High School, track was kind of like what all the athletes did in the spring to train for like our fall sports. So it was more like a social thing, but I did enjoy it. I ran distance events, the 4x8, and I threw javelin. So that was cool. Yeah.
So keeping yourself busy in the off season,
Yep.
kind of staying in shape. Playing in high school, you mentioned playing club as well. So what was that like throughout high school? Did you notice a difference playing for your high school team and from your club team? Was there a difference?
I would say the biggest thing, like Biglerville had grass. All 4 years when I played there, we played on a grass field. And so when we would play against teams that had turf, I definitely felt like my training for club, which was primarily on turf, helped to elevate my game there. In addition, probably just my game IQ. I think that's one of the biggest benefits to playing a sport year round is you really can like learn the game and learn the strategy and be able to communicate that for the people in the field that you're with. So I think that that's something that really helped to elevate my game when I was in high school and I was able to get more playing time and like do those sorts of things because I just was playing all the time. So that would be a big thing, I think, especially like looking back at my time at Biglerville. And that program has continued to grow since I left and it has been really on the up recently. They've been doing a lot better than when I played there. But yeah, I would say that would probably be the biggest thing, playing club.
And then Playing in high school, playing in club, what was your recruiting experience like? Because you just mentioned looking across divisions and whatnot, but what was that experience like for you?
Well, I honestly didn't know what to expect because I wasn't sure if was good enough to play in college. Like, I don't know. I think that was sort of just coming from like a high school that played on grass all the time. I just didn't know if I would be able to kind of transition into that game. But the more that I played with my club team and the more that I traveled to like showcases and indoor tournaments and really playing indoor, I think helped to grow my game a lot just because of like the stick work and the practices, the Nook tournaments, all those sort of things. I think really is where I saw the biggest jump in my skill. But recruiting wise, like Carly and Caitlin would tell us, look at the list of schools that are going, check out those schools, see if any of them interest you, send them an email if you think that one of those programs might be somewhere that you'd be interested in. Just letting them know, like, this is who I am, this is the position I play, this is my jersey number. I'd love to have you come out and see me play. So that's kind of how it started, I would say. And I was in pretty close communication with like coaches. At first, I wouldn't really hear a lot back from coaches. And then I guess in my like junior year, senior year, I was starting to hear from coaches a lot. I was pretty sold on going to Ithaca College. I did a visit there. I went to their camps and their clinics. And really, I followed the lead of what my club coaches were telling me, which was, if this is a school you're interested in, get on campus, go to the clinics, go to the camps, do all the things. And I would do team camp in high school with my high school teams. We would go to East Stroudsburg every year, which is a great team camp. And I got a lot of exposure there. The Ithaca coach would always come to the East Stroudsburg camp and be part of that. So I kind of got to meet her there. And I got accepted to Ithaca. I was like 100% like, this is where I'm going. And then my mom was like, just check out E-Town. It's right down the road. It has a 4+1 master's program with special education, which is what I majored in. So I was like, okay, well, we'll check it out. And then when I went on my visit there, I really just kind of fell in love with the community of people that were there. And I was like, okay, could I play here? Is this something that I could do? Because that was really, a big selling point when I was looking at my schools, like where could I have both? If that's something that I was slowly discovering I was capable of having. So I guess that would be like my big moment. Once I did fall in love with E-Town, I reached out to Brandy Michael, who was the coach at the time, my coach all 5 years. And I basically just told her I'm interested. That was in my senior year. So I was like, I don't know if like she's even still looking for people. And that was around probably like January of my senior year, where I was sort of shifting between like, okay, maybe I'm not going to go to Ithaca College. Like maybe this is a better spot for me. And that's sort of what happened. Brandy got back to me. She was like, we have another spot. We'd love to have you come out for preseason with us. I guess I would say I'm a late addition, especially being a coach now and thinking about the recruiting timeline and things. I kind of got on to the list a little bit late there for E-Town, but that's where I ended up. I fell in love with it there, and I feel like that was the best spot for me looking back.
And thinking back to that time, how important was it for you to step foot on campus? Obviously, influenced a little bit by your mom to check out a place closer to home. But you step foot on campus, you mentioned community. How important was it for you to step foot on multiple campuses to see what fit for you?
So important. And I think like now when I talk to recruits, that's the biggest thing that I can tell them. Like, come to campus, come visit E-Town. You might hate it, but like then you know what you don't like. And I think my mom, I do give a lot of credit to my parents. Like we visited so many schools. I have an older brother. He went to college too. I went on tours with my older brother. I went on tours even with like my younger sister. Like I would go help her kind of like go through the process of things. And I think that exposure to so many different types of schools is kind of what helped me to sort of know what I was looking for. Thinking now too, Ithaca is pretty similar to E-Town. There's a lot of things that they have in common and some things that are a little bit different, but that community piece I think is really huge. And I tell recruits too, like if you have the opportunity to do an overnight, do an overnight. You really get to meet the team. You really get to meet the people. You get to see what a day in the life is like on campus. And I think something cool about E-Town, and even when I think back to like when I did my overnight, is the team was like extremely welcoming, but we would be walking around campus and people that just went to E-Town and didn't even play sports were friendly with the people that I was walking with. They were saying hi to each other. Like everybody seemed to know each other, which was like kind of cool. And I was able to meet a lot of other athletes, and all of the other athletes when I went to E-Town were so supportive about coming to this campus. They were like, oh, it'd be so cool if we could have you here next year. Like, I hope you enjoy your visit. Let me know if you need anything. Oh, you're looking to study education. I study education. Here's my number. Text me if you have any questions. Like, people that weren't even on the field hockey team, but maybe played softball or basketball, which was super cool for me. It really made me feel welcome there. And I do think that was a huge selling point for me when I compare like that experience to the same experience I might have had at other schools where I did overnights.
And that truly makes a difference when you feel, obviously it's closer to home in your case, but like that's your
Right.
home away from home now. You felt that connection to not just your potential teammates, but just potential other student body, that community that's being built. And that makes a difference, especially if you want to spend the next 4, in your case, 5 years at an institution.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I didn't know it then, but like in my first semester at E-Town, just the way the professors were supportive of the athletes too. Like I had professors that first like knew me by name within the first week that I'm in their class and then would come to my field hockey games, would like wish me good luck on my way out the door when I'm like leaving their class 20 minutes early to go like get the bus, which was a really cool experience.
Oh, to say the least, like that camaraderie of not just teammates and classmates, professors that have that type of like know with all about them to be like, hey, like you're a student athlete, you're here for the right reasons, but you also are about to go kick butt on a field hockey field. So
Mhm.
that they're able to show up for you, and that importance of how special that is to you, how special that makes you feel as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it still means like so much to me. And even working on campus now, like at my alma mater, I still know a lot of the same professors that were like my professors, and they still support me like in my adult life, in my coaching life. And that's really awesome. It's so valuable. I feel very lucky in that sense.
Now, talking about your playing career, what was your experience like playing at Elizabethtown?
Coming into Elizabethtown, like in my first year preseason, like I said, I was kind of a late addition to the team. So I was so scared, like most freshmen, I think, probably are. It was kind of a new thing for me coming from Biglerville. Like every single person that was on the E-Town field hockey team when I was a freshman was so good. I was just like, everybody's so good. They're talented. They push each other. They work hard. It was refreshing for me. From my high school team, it wasn't necessarily like that. When I was on the team, there are definitely people that are talented but like it wasn't everybody. Like I felt like, like I was probably in the upper tier, like in high school. And then coming into college, I was like, okay, I'm on the bottom. These girls are really good. But I'm a big advocate for work ethic. I feel like I work very hard in all the things that I do. I always have. I think that's what sets me apart as a player. My freshman year, I started my first game of my career. I started every game of my career. There's not a single game that I played in that I didn't start, which is cool. I think that's like a cool statistic to think about.
Absolutely.
I feel like I definitely like made an impact sort of right away, even as a freshman. So I mean, I played forward my freshman year. I was just a forward. I was fast and young and nimble, like most freshmen. So that piece was helpful, as well as just my game IQ being in the right place at the right time, reading my teammates well. Was able to score some goals. My freshman year, was a landmark conference all conference player, which was super cool as a freshman. And I didn't really realize that was like a big deal as a freshman. I never really got any awards at Biglerville, so I was just like, okay, like this is cool. Being part of like a good team. We were on like a historic 10-game winning streak, which was awesome. So then to be getting some awards on top of that, as well as like the NFHCA awards, I got my 4.0 GPA as a freshman, so I was kind of feeling sort of on top of the world there, and that kind of carried on, I would say, for all my years of college, with some hiccups along the way. My sophomore year, I sprained my ankle, and then I played on it for the rest of the season. Just I'd wrap it. I would walk in a boot when I wasn't at practice, but I would play for the games and when I was at practice. And then by the end of the season, got an X-ray. It was broken, so that was definitely a setback, and I felt a little discouraged my sophomore year just because we had a transition in players graduating. I played defense, which is, I guess, two sides of every coin. Still super cool that I could start a game playing defense. It kind of shows my like versatility as a player, but it's a lot different than, scoring the goals and like getting those stats.
Yeah.
So it was a nice little like stay humble moment. I still played like every game that season with a broken ankle. So that's cool. But looking back, that was kind of, I think, a speed hump in my playing. I started on such a high that I was a little like, am I going to be able to bounce back from that? But I should say I was voted captain as a sophomore, which kind of led to like, I think me being in a coaching position now, I was voted by my teammates. I remember Brandy, Coach Michael, saying this was like the first time ever that they've had a sophomore be voted as like one of the captains. So that was cool. And I was a captain my sophomore, junior, senior, and grad year. And so 4 years serving as a captain for the team. And it was nice. My teammates looked to me as a leader when I was still just their teammate. So that's pretty cool. And I guess that kind of carried on. I was back to an all conference selection 2 more times in my career, which was super cool. And I bounced around position wise too. So I don't think I was ever really set forward mid defense. I kind of just went where we needed me. And we changed formations a lot. I would say we adapted our formation depending on who we were playing against. So sometimes I was more like a halfback. Sometimes I was more like high center forward. So it definitely shifted around, and I was more than willing to just be out there on the field. I've found that I really just love the game. So being out there with my teammates, I wish I could do it again.
And thinking back to that car ride in 7th grade to where you were that year and now,
Yeah.
whole different mindset.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm really like, I keep telling my mom, I have to thank her for pushing me out of the car. But I mean, something I tell my players now, like, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's how you grow. And so, like, I was certainly uncomfortable that first year of, like, that first day of field hockey camp where I knew no one. But I've grown so much, like, because of that. And because of a lot of other little moments where, like, you had to be uncomfortable. Like, the first day of preseason where I was so terrified that I wasn't going to be able to hang or, like, pass the time mile. Like, and I could. But, I mean, I had to be okay with, like, trying that and being uncomfortable for a second. But I do think, like, I tell my players all the time, we show the most growth when we have to be put in a situation where we might not be comfortable. We're out of our comfort zone.
So you finish your 5th year as an athlete, finishing your degree, the 4-in-1 program you alluded to earlier. Was there any idea of going and using that degree? I think you said it was education rather than coming back as a GA, which you inevitably ended up doing.
Actually, I did. I got my master's in special education, and I took a teaching job in Hershey in Derry Township School District, teaching 3rd grade special education. So I actually did that the following fall. I was teaching 3rd grade special ed, and I was coaching at E-Town. So I was doing both. I was an assistant coach, and I would just come after school. So I would come to the things that I could come to. Obviously, there would be like some things during the day that I couldn't make, but I was really open and communicating with the head coach at the time, which was Lauren Voigt, who had been the assistant coach all 5 years that I played there. She kind of stepped into that head position when Brandy stepped down. And yeah, I was teaching and coaching at the same time. And I actually still am teaching and coaching, which is sort of a unique thing. I definitely think it sets me apart from other head coaches. I know it sets me apart from other head coaches. Not a lot of other people are full-time teachers and full-time coaches, but, well, part-time. It's a part-time head coaching position at E-Town. So that all said, it's a full-time job. It's 2 full-time jobs, but I'm young and I don't have kids, so I'm enjoying it right now.
Yeah, so that just adds a whole other layer to your experience. Yeah. So you're a teacher on top of a field hockey coach, but like you just said, very demanding in season, to say the least. How have you been able to juggle and balance a full-time teaching job and a head coaching job?
Well, it wasn't something that I was expecting to do. Lauren Voigt took a position coaching in Ohio, and we had no head coach going into our 2024 season last year. So around this time, we found out we didn't have a coach. Chris Morgan, our athletic director, he was reaching out to us. He was letting us know, like, we're posting this position. Tell all the people you know, like, apply if you want. And I was like, I'm not going to apply. Like, I'm a teacher. I don't have time. I can't possibly do both at the same time, but I'll spread the word, like everyone's so close-knit in the field hockey community. So I spread the word around. Chris said we had some applicants. He was keeping us updated on how it was going. Toward the end of July, he called me and he was like, yeah, we were thinking that actually it would be better if you were the head coach, and we'd really like you to apply. And I reiterated, I'm a teacher. I want these girls to have the best opportunity that they could possibly have as athletes. They should have a coach that's there all day, that can be with them, that can support them, that can meet their needs. And that can't be me if I'm also teaching 3rd graders at the same time. And basically what I proposed is the only way that I would take the position is if we had an associate head coach as well to help me. So then for the things that I maybe couldn't be at or would be late to, they would have another coach there. That wasn't just the assistant, And so that was my proposition, and Chris ended up liking that idea, and that's kind of how it went. So I was named head coach last summer around this time, closer to the end of the month. I really had to hit the ground running, and I had no hand in like planning our schedule or anything like that. So last year was a little bit challenging as far as, I was quickly trying to change practice time. So it would be after my school day so I could be there and still work with the girls' class schedule. And then for away games last year, I had to drive myself and meet them there because I'd be coming right from school a lot of the times. And then Coach Madeline would ride the bus with them so that they could still, have a coach on the bus. And really, we made it work. It was a lot of time management and probably not enough sleep looking back. But now that I was able to kind of plan some stuff this year, like with my coaching staff, and really kind of take the time to be careful and specific about why we're scheduling things the way we are and why we're putting things on the calendar in certain ways that work for not just my schedule, but also the athletes. I think we've kind of found like a perfect balance. And so kind of what happens now is I will go to school during the day, and then come 4 o'clock, I'm on campus pretty much till 10. And if they need anything before or after practice, we'll have either a 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 5 to 7, whatever it may be practice. They can pop into my office. Like they know that I am here until 10 o'clock if they need anything. And of course, might be some exceptions where I have to step off of campus or be out a little bit earlier, and I just communicate that with them. And that kind of works pretty well for us. And any day, like looking at my school year that I don't have school, I'm on campus all day. So that's something that worked well for them. We had some snow days this year where it was like a FID day, like a flexible teaching day where I would Zoom in. So I'd go to the office, I'd be on campus, Zoom in for my classes. They could pop in during my planning, during my lunch. So a little bit of like double dipping. But it's nice because, thinking back to my time as an athlete at E-Town too, like it's super cool to have a coach that's in the office. That if you need anything, you can pop in and talk to them. You can text them, you can call them. And so I definitely wanted to do that for my players as much as I possibly can. I go to all the things that I possibly can. And then recruiting wise, like I'm careful about where I use my personal days so I can travel for tournaments like the Winter Escape Showcase and all of that stuff where I do have to usually take one day off of school so I can get down there in time and be part of all the things that I can be part of in the coaching world too.
And that just credit to you for proposing an associate head coach. Shout out to Chris because he's an excellent AD.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you trusting yourself and your instincts, knowing like how valuable it was to have a coach on campus for you at that institution. So wanting the same thing for your now current student athletes and future student athletes, looking at the benefit of the whole program, not just yourself.
Right.
That's incredible.
Thank you. I think there's definitely been like a learning curve. And like I said, like hitting the ground running, but the department is very supportive. Honestly, the entire Landmark Conference is very supportive. And so they've been really great with working with me, working with my availability as far as like meetings and things like that. Any meetings that I can't get to, Madeline will go to represent our team. I think it's really important that field hockey is part of those things and part of those conversations. We're hiring a new head athletic trainer right now. Like I'm making a point to like Zoom into all those interviews. I can be part of it. And I think that's something like that we've really been growing into, like the more exposure for our program, even just like being on this podcast with you today. Like I think that's something so huge. So again, thank you so much for having me. But that's something that I'm working really hard to keep cultivating and growing. I'm all about, it's a teacher in me, all about growing and feedback and all that stuff. So
Yes.
I would say that's a pretty huge part of it right now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lehigh Valley Prospects podcast presented by Smith Sports Media. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel searching Lehigh Valley Prospects Podcast. You can stream the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts searching Lehigh Valley Prospects Podcast. Follow us on social media on Instagram at LV Prospects Podcast, on X at LV Prospects, and on Facebook at Lehigh Valley Prospects Podcast. Until next time, I'm your host, LJ Smith, signing off.